Okay, so this video is going to be a lot different. This is not our normal vlog content. If you want that, just come back in, I don't know, a couple of days. We're going to be releasing this little series alongside that. So if you're not into technical stuff, just switch right past it. Okay, so this is going to be about lithium. We're going to talk in quite a lot of detail. If you are in any way interested in lithium, whether you're on a van, an RV, a boat, a plane, whatever it is that you're on and you're kind of interested in switching to, this video I'm going to talk about the reasons for lithium, against lithium, and why we've switched to it. And then we're going to do a mini series of everything that goes along with that. But just stick with me because it's going to be a bit of an interesting video. So I want to really quickly just butt in and tell you that there are 5 videos in this series, including this one. All of them are already up on our Patreon. They are free content on there, so if you sign up to any level, you'll see those videos. And other than that, they will be released once a week on YouTube for the next 4 or 5 weeks. So yeah, if you want to see that, links in the description. But yeah, let's get back to the video. So grab a drink, a coffee, anything that you may like, because this could be a long one. So before we get started, I want to first really give you a picture of who I am and where I'm coming from. Firstly, I am not an electrician. This is not going to be in any way a how-to guide or me advising you to do things. This is just what I've done and why I've done it. So I want to make that clear firstly. Secondly, and really importantly, my wife and I, Laura, we live on this boat. This is our home. We're here 24/7. And we plan to be on this for as long as we can, really, with money. So that's kind of where we're at. We are not just using this at the weekend or for 1 or 2 days a week. This is our home. This is everything. So that's kind of our base point. That's where we're starting this video at, just so that you're aware, because I'm going to make this whole thing relative to our situation, which I appreciate isn't everybody's, but there's more and more of us, as we're finding. I feel like this is informative for anybody who also lives full-time in a van, RV, boat, whatever it may well be. Okay, so I'm going to break this down into pretty much different battery types, older technology and newer technology, and then I'm going to break it into sections. Each of these sections are up on the screen right now, and in the description down below I've got timestamps for all of them. So if you just want to skip to a certain section, it's just down in the description, so just go click that. Okay, so let's get into it. The 3 main types of batteries. There are many more, but the 3 main ones that you'll find most people are using is lead acid, AGM or gel, and lithium. And really quickly, I want to focus in on lithium. This is not the kind of lithium that's in your phone or your laptop or many electric cars. You see some media of these things going up in flames and just self-combusting for no reason. So it's completely different technology. The batteries that I'm talking about are a lithium iron phosphate. You might have seen them as LiFePo4 or LiFe or LFP. There's a couple of different acronyms for them, but it's lithium iron phosphate. I'm not going to get into the science, but it's pretty much just a safer version of lithium that has been used in the telecommunications industry for years as backup generators and servers, just in case the grid goes offline. These are backup power, and they have been there for a long time, and that's kind of why they are becoming more and more affordable, is because they have been in the commercial space for years, and now as more people want them, they're getting cheaper. So, but we'll cover all of that. Okay, so before we even get started, the first thing that you need to do when you're discussing a battery or getting a new battery system or whatever it may well be, how much energy, how much electricity you actually use. You know, if you just switch on some lights and plug a phone into a USB socket, you don't need very much. If you have fridges and freezers and you want to use induction cooking and all these other high energy output kind of devices, then you're in a different situation. For us on this boat, we are trying to make this as much like a home so that we can just plug things in and not have to think about whether or not we can run it, whether or not we have the energy to do it. And so for that, I did a power audit, and we looked at exactly how much I thought we would need on a regular basis and at the top end of it. And also for us, it was actually more, if we have 3 or 4 cloudy days in a row, we wanted to still have the battery power without having to turn on an engine. So I decided that 500 to 600 amp hours was perfect for what we needed. We would regularly probably only use 150 to 200 amp hours a day, so it would give us at least 3 days worth of battery power. And if we were able to use less, well then happy days, we can actually get maybe 4 or 5 days out of it. So that was the logic behind it all. On screen now are going to pop up the prices of what 600 amp hours for lead acid, AGM and lithium are going to be. This is local to me right now in Greece, and then converted back and forth to dollars. The exception being lithium. So we have about $1,000 or 750 euros for lead acid. We then have about double that, 1,500 to 1,700 euros or $2,000 for AGM. And right now the price of lithium has really fallen quite a lot in the last 2 years. So it was about $1,200 for every 100 amps. Now it's dropped to about $800. So you're saving actually quite a lot of money. So for the sake of this, we'll say $5,000 or about 4,000 euros will get you 600 amp hours. But that number I know is going to scare off a lot of people. It scared me off. But let me work through this video and I'll show you why it's actually not as bad as you might think. And there's a little secret at the end, which you really have to see. Okay, so the first section is capacity. And for this, I mean how much of your battery is actually usable. The easiest way to think of this is just in a percentage. So lead acid and AGM are the same. You can use 50% of the battery. Anything beyond that, you're at risk of damaging the battery. If you go way beyond that, you're just going to completely destroy it. And the biggest selling point for lithium, and the reason that most people actually choose it, is that in theory you can use 100%. Now, for longevity reasons, really you should only be using 80%, maybe 85% regularly. But going beyond that, it's not going to irreversibly damage your batteries in the same way that lead acid and AGM would be. There will be a little bit of degradation, but over a really long time. So we're going to now have to adjust the amount of batteries that we actually need to buy based on that. As I said, we want 600 amps. So to do that, we need to buy 1,200 amp hours of lead acid and AGM. So we need to double it. So let's double the price that we have already spent. And now let's go to lithium, where again, you could argue that you only need 600 amp hours to use 600 amp hours. But for the sake of argument, because I know someone's going to say, you should have added it, I'm going to add in another 100 amp hours to make it up to 700 amp hours of lithium. So the new prices, $2,000 for the lead acid, $4,000 for AGM, and $6,000 for lithium. The next section, which is arguably as important, is the lifespan. The lifespan of these batteries could completely impact your circumnavigation. Let's say you're wanting to go around the world over a course of 10 years. Well, a 10-year time frame is quite long. You're going to be using these batteries every single day, cycling them up and down, at least every other day. And because of that heavy use case that we have, lead acid batteries would probably only last 2 to 3 years. AGM, if you're lucky, 5 years. And that's only based on the fact that you don't ever take them down below 50%. You might get a little bit more out of them if you're super careful, but I think the average is 2 to 3 years for lead acid, 4 to 5 years for AGM. With lithium, you get about 4,000 cycles, which if you cycle your batteries every day, you get 4,000 days, which is about 12 years. So yeah, and quite often you won't even cycle your batteries in a day. So you could get 15 years, who knows? Let's just say you'll probably get rid of your boat or your van long before you actually need to replace your lithium batteries. So now we need to adjust those figures again. So with the lead acid, you're going to have to buy them before you start and replace them 3 more times on your 10-year trip. With AGM, you're going to have to buy them on the day 1 and replace them on year 4 or 5. And probably again on 8 or 9, but you could maybe push it out. With lithium, you do not need to change this. So let's adjust these figures again. So over a 10-year period, with lead acid, it's $8,000. AGM, it's $8,000. And lithium is still $6,000. Okay, so the next section is weight and size. The thing that we're talking about here and wanting 600 amps, if you have HEM and lead acid, you're going to have to get 1,200. There is no way on this planet I could fit 1,200 amps on this boat. It just would not happen. There's no space for it. You would have to completely move everything to make it work. So that's not feasible for me at all. And I would say for you, for most people, it's the same. On top of that, 1,200 amps would be about 400 kilos or maybe 800 pounds. So yeah, it's kind of insane how heavy that would be compared to 600 amps of lithium, maybe 40 kilograms or 80 pounds. So that is a huge, huge, huge difference in terms of weight and size. So that's a massive, massive, massive benefit for lithium. Next category, what's it actually like to live with? I've actually already installed the batteries and I've noticed one massive difference already. And that is that my solar panels now are so much more efficient. Like they're putting out another 25% on top of what they were before, if not more. It's kind of ridiculous how much they've improved. So that's one great thing. And the other thing with lithium is that you can really discharge these so much faster, which is a benefit that if you have big loads, if you have a really big inverter, there is no kind of fall off. You know, the voltage stays pretty constant throughout the whole thing. And if you plug in, I don't know, a hair dryer and a kettle for 4 hours, they will work the whole time. Whereas that won't happen with lead acid and AGM, or especially not lead acid. Yeah, there's real benefits just day to day, especially with the charging. It's kind of incredible. Which actually brings me to the drawbacks of lithium. And it's not so much drawbacks, but just things that you need to be aware of before you even consider making this decision. And that is, number one, these things charge like crazy. I've just said it, they charge so much faster from the solar. And that's a great thing, but it's also a problem. If you plug in your alternator straight to your lithium batteries, your alternator will just go to peak power and it will stay there constantly until the batteries are full, which is great. You'll get your batteries charged from the alternator faster than ever, but your alternator is probably going to explode. So you can't just do that. You have to put other things in place to kind of make it work, or you have to go the route of getting a lithium specific alternator. But we'll cover that in a future video on this series, but that is the first thing to be aware of. Okay, so the second thing is something that doesn't impact me personally, but it might impact you in your scenario and depending where you live. But lithium does not like to be charged in extreme temperatures. And extreme is a little bit subjective because it's arguably not extreme at all. Anything above 60 degrees Celsius, which I believe is 140 or 150 degrees Fahrenheit, the batteries will just not charge. And you could probably damage them if you try to charge them. So if you have your batteries in an engine bay, that's probably going to be too hot for the batteries. That could be damaged. So you might have to move them and mount them somewhere else. On the other end of that, anything below 5 degrees Celsius, which I think is 40 degrees Fahrenheit, is also too low to be charged. So that affects a lot of people. But this is actual temperature in the battery compartment. So for example, last night here, it was 0 degrees Celsius. It was on freezing, properly cold, but in the battery compartment, it was still 12 degrees Celsius. So it's completely fine. The easy workaround for this, which again, I'm not going to do, because I don't need to, is you just get a little heat mat and plug it in. And if the temperature gets too low, turn it on. Ta-da! So that is something to take into consideration. They are the biggest drawbacks, bar the price. But speaking of the price, so I've kind of been teeing up this whole thing. Let's just, first of all, run through the numbers again. This was the total price after 10 years. 8,000, 8,000 and 6,000 for the lithium. So what if I told you that I was able to do 600 amp hours of lithium for less than $1,200? Yeah, come back next week and see the video, because I'm going to actually be building my own battery bank, and then the following week it's going to be an overview of the whole system, and then the week after that is going to be the big install. So yeah, it's going to be a couple of interesting videos and you might just learn something. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you've learned anything, give me a like, and if you want to see more content like this, put it down in the comments down below. There's a few other small jobs that are happening right now in the boat that I could do videos like this on, just a single video, not a series like this. And yeah, until then, subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and in a couple of days I'll have episode 2 out, and hopefully you'll learn something, because it's kind of crazy what you can do now. Anyway, thanks for watching, have a great week, see you later, bye!